Tonight feels different, heavier. The air carries a silence too loud, as if the heavens are holding their breath. Somewhere, someone you've never met is praying for you. Somewhere else, a truth long hidden is being dragged into the light. And above it all, a warning echoes, not from this earth, but from the divine. Archangel Michael, the protector, the warrior of light, is no longer standing still. He is moving, and when he moves, judgment follows. You don't see it yet, but you will. By the time this night ends, every secret buried beneath your pain, every injustice done in the shadows, every tear you've swallowed in silence will face the consequences, because heaven does not forget, and tonight its justice is coming. Sarah had always believed in signs, but lately the signs were no longer gentle nudges. They were sharp, unrelenting, like whispers turning into screams. It began 7 nights ago. At 3 a.m. sharp, she woke up gasping, heart pounding as if she'd run a marathon in her sleep. A bright blue flame hovered near the edge of her window, flickering without wind. It disappeared before she could blink, but the feeling it left behind didn't fade. She felt watched, not by something dark, but something powerful. Sarah wasn't anyone famous. A quiet soul with a quiet job. She worked in a cramped office where her ideas were stolen, her efforts dismissed, and her worth overlooked. People spoke over her, used her, called her too emotional or too nice. She bore it all, every mocking smirk, every manipulative lie, every betrayal from those she once trusted. But pain is a seed. When buried too long, it doesn't die. It grows. It roots itself in silence, watered by injustice. And that seed inside Sarah was now trembling, cracking, ready to break free. The following night, it happened again. She heard a voice, not with her ears, but in her soul. It didn't speak like humans do. It struck like thunder inside her mind. You are not alone. Prepare. Judgment is falling tonight. She gasped, trembling in her bed. Something deep within her shifted. The pain she carried no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a weapon forged in the fire of her endurance. And that night, she saw him, bathed in ethereal light, wings wider than clouds, a sword glowing with holy flame. He stood at the foot of her bed, Archangel Michael, the warrior of justice. His gaze pierced into her soul. Your cries have reached the heavens, he said. Your silence has thundered louder than screams. Those who twisted your kindness will face what they never thought would come. He raised his sword, not to harm, but to cut through the veil. And in that moment, Sarah saw visions. She saw the boss who stole her project credits, laughing in a smoky room, sealing her fate with a forged report that cost her a promotion. She saw the friend who betrayed her trust, sharing her secrets like party gossip while smiling to her face. She saw her ex, the one who promised forever, cheating in shadows, blaming her for the loneliness he created. But then she saw something else. She saw heaven's ledger, a glowing book, floating in space, pages turning without hands. Every wound she endured was written there. Every injustice, marked, not forgotten, not ignored, recorded. And on the next page, judgment. Divine, unstoppable, coming tonight. Sarah fell to her knees, overwhelmed not by fear, but by release. All this time, she thought she had to carry everything alone. But the heavens had seen her, and now they were responding. Meanwhile, far from Sarah's home, across cities and continents, unrest stirred in the lives of those who hurt her. Her ex, Daniel, was tossing in bed, haunted by nightmares of fire and angelic eyes. In his dream, he ran through a forest of mirrors, each one showing the face he had become. A liar, a deceiver, a man who weaponized love to gain control. And behind him, a burning sword followed, getting closer with every heartbeat. In another corner of the city, her boss, Mr. Aldridge, was drowning in anxiety. His emails had been leaked anonymously, proof of misconduct, proof of deceit. Investigators were circling. The same charm he used to manipulate others now betrayed him. His words were twisted in the public, the same way he once twisted hers. And the so-called friend, Amanda, was spiraling too. Her lies were unraveling, exposed by someone she never suspected, her own sister. The web she spun so effortlessly around Sarah now collapsed around her feet like a trap set for herself. Each one faced the same hour, midnight, the moment heaven had chosen. And above them, unseen by earthly eyes, Archangel Michael soared, his wings casting divine wind, his eyes fixed not on revenge, but on justice. He wasn't punishing for pleasure. He was rebalancing the scales. Because when the kind are broken for being kind, when innocence is ridiculed while manipulation thrives, heaven takes note. And when the cry of the wronged reaches a pitch too loud to ignore, angels do not whisper. They move. Midnight approached. The city outside lay still, cloaked in moonlight, unaware of the divine storm gathering in silence. Sarah stood by her window, breathing deeply. She wasn't afraid. Something had awakened in her. Not vengeance, not hatred. Clarity. She didn't wish harm. She wished truth. And tonight, the truth was no longer hiding. In a soft wind that swept into her room, she felt Archangel Michael's presence again. "The time has come," he whispered. Far above her, above the city, the stars pulsed with new light, as if heaven's eyes were watching. In that sacred moment, something broke open, invisible but mighty. She saw flashes, each of her oppressors facing their moment of reckoning, not with fire or thunder, but with truth. Emails they thought deleted resurfacing, lies exposed, trust shattered, their masks slipping in front of the very crowds they once used to hurt her. Yet Sarah did not rejoice in their downfall. She cried, not for them, for herself. For how long she'd lived bending herself small. For how often she doubted her own worth because someone else refused to see it. But not anymore. The judgment wasn't just falling on others. It was falling for her. The sword of Michael didn't just destroy lies. It restored dignity. He wasn't just her avenger. He was a reminder. You are seen. You are heard. You matter. And that message wasn't just for Sarah. It was for you. Yes, you. The one watching, listening, surviving. You who've been mocked for being soft. You who've been punished for being honest. You've been pushed down, overlooked, betrayed, and still refused to become bitter. Heaven has not been silent. The divine does not rush, but it never forgets. And tonight, a heavenly judgment falls, not to destroy, but to awaken. The world may never notice the silent ones, but heaven does. It keeps a ledger, not of sins condemn you, but of pain to vindicate you. And when the moment is right, when the wounds are deep and the cries are too loud, the archangel moves. So, if your heart is heavy tonight, if you've been questioning why you were chosen to bear so much, know this: you weren't chosen to break. You were chosen to rise when others fall. To be the proof that light doesn't dim under darkness. It shines brighter. And tonight, that light is yours. Last night, the heavens stirred. The quiet ones, the broken, the betrayed, the overlooked, were finally seen. And Sarah, just one soul among millions, was told the truth. She was never alone. Archangel Michael didn't just appear for her. He moved for all those who have been wronged in silence. Now, the judgment has begun. But this is not about punishment. It's about revelation. This is about what happens when divine justice walks into the lives of those who thought their sins would never speak. Because once an angel descends, nothing stays hidden. By morning, the city felt different. A hush hung in the air, not the silence of peace, but the pause before impact, like the world knew something ancient had shifted. Sarah woke up with clarity. There were no more visions, no more whispers, just a deep, unwavering calm, a sacred stillness, as if her soul had been reset. She stepped outside, and the light hit differently, sharper, clearer, as if even the sun knew it had something to witness today. That morning, news broke. A viral expose rocked her company. Emails, documents, whistleblower reports, proof of systematic manipulation and theft. The name at the center of it all? Mr. Aldridge. He sat in his glass office, white-faced and stunned, watching everything unravel. The board of directors who once praised him now turned cold. Legal teams were called. His charm couldn't save him. His power crumbled. Not because someone attacked him, but because truth stood up and spoke louder than his lies. Down the hall, the whispers began. That was Sarah's project, wasn't it? She pitched that idea first. We were wrong about her. But Sarah didn't smile. She didn't gloat. She just stood tall. For the first time in years, she walked through that building not with fear, but with freedom. The chains were gone. Elsewhere, Daniel was spiraling. The dream hadn't ended. It followed him into the daylight. Every mirror showed him versions of himself he didn't want to see. At first, he thought it was guilt. But guilt doesn't breathe. This felt alive, as if something was hunting him from the inside out. His phone rang endlessly. People confronting him about past behaviors, screenshots, messages he thought deleted, old flames, betrayed friends, broken promises. All of it had come back. He remembered Sarah's eyes, the way she begged him to be honest, the way she forgave things no one else would have. And he used that softness like a weapon. Now, no one believed his words, not even himself. In one final act of desperation, he opened his window and shouted into the empty sky, "Why is this happening?" But deep down, he already knew. Some debts are paid in silence, others in storms. Amanda, the once trusted friend, sat at a cafe corner with her head in her hands. Her sister had posted a thread online, revealing how Amanda had fabricated lies about Sarah to boost her own image, how she sabotaged Sarah's relationship, and twisted others against her, all under the guise of friendship. Amanda tried to deny it, but the screenshot said otherwise. People unfollowed her. Clients withdrew. Even those who once supported her began to distance themselves. She wasn't being canceled. She was being revealed. The angel hadn't harmed her. He'd simply lifted the veil. Because sometimes the worst punishment isn't destruction. It's exposure. Back in Sarah's small apartment, the blue flame returned, dancing silently near her window. But it wasn't a warning this time. It was a reminder. She sat down, hands resting on her lap, heart steady. Her phone buzzed with messages, co-workers apologizing, people offering opportunities, invitations pouring in. But that wasn't what mattered to her now. What mattered was this. She didn't need the world's validation. She had heaven's confirmation. All the night she cried wondering if she mattered. All the time she wanted to scream, but stayed silent to keep the peace. They were not wasted. They were counted. And so are yours. You've been told to stop being sensitive. You've been mocked for your faith, your kindness, your loyalty. You who held others up while they tore you down. Heaven saw you, and just like it stood with Sarah, it stands with you now. A few nights later, Sarah dreamed again, but this dream was different. She was standing on a mountaintop, a storm roaring around her, but she wasn't afraid. She held a sword, not a weapon of destruction, but of truth, and beside her stood Archangel Michael. His voice rang like music and thunder combined. You are no longer the victim. You are the witness. And now you are the warrior. Sarah woke up with tears in her eyes, but they weren't from pain. They were from release. For the first time in forever, she felt whole. And as she walked through her life now, people saw it too. They asked what changed. She smiled and said, I remembered who I am, and heaven reminded those who forgot. But this story isn't just hers. It's yours. The world has tried to convince you that being good is weakness, that being soft means being stepped on, that being forgiving means being foolish. But heaven says otherwise. Heaven says the ones who break, but still choose light, are the strongest of all. And those who think they can exploit you forever eventually run into something they can't manipulate. Divine justice. Not revenge, not wrath. Justice. The kind that doesn't always look loud. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it just shows the truth. But when it comes, it changes everything. If you're still waiting for your moment, if you're still swallowing tears and wondering if anyone sees what you go through behind closed doors, hear this. Heaven sees you. Every broken promise. Every fake friend. Every time you smiled through pain no one bothered to notice. It's all written, not to punish you, but to lift you up when the time comes. And maybe that time is tonight. Because tonight, the sky is watching again. Tonight, Archangel Michael is moving through the world, quietly, powerfully, bringing balance. So don't fear the storm. You are not forgotten. You are not weak. You are not alone. A heavenly judgment is falling tonight. And this time, it's falling for you.